Yeah.
congratulations on your new documentary, Take the Money and Run.
Thank you so much. Thank
More
you.
of a,
And thank you for
more,
having me.
hey, not a problem, not a problem. It's a delightful documentary, and more of a congratulations is being showcased at Tribeca this year, one of the most
Yeah.
prestigious film festivals around the world. How do you feel about
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, I mean, it's new to me as to go to such a prestigious festival, so with a film at least. So I'm excited to come. Yeah.
I'm excited that the audiences will have a chance to see it, but so tell me first, what actually sparked you to make this documentary in the first place?
I mean, I heard about this story in the media, like a lot of people here in Denmark and eventually in the world did. Uh, and I had heard the artist on a radio show, uh, and he was quite different, I would say, in the way he was answering the questions or what he was saying, uh, kind of having an argument with the radio hosts. And I thought, the story of this guy just taking the money he's loaned and giving back two empty frames, that story is too funny. I was laughing so hard. And when I also heard that he was a very special guy, I was yeah, very intrigued and just wanted to go into the story. Yeah.
So
And
how
then I
did you
contacted him and he was, yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
I was gonna say how did you track Yen down and convince him to be part of this film? I he seems like he's very easy to convince to be in this film.
Yeah, maybe too easy. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just wrote him a message, and the same day he got back to me, and I was thinking there must be a ton of people that because it was at that time a big story. It was in New York Times, CNN, The Guardian, Le Figaro, and everything, big media all over the world. So I thought there would be somebody following him with a camera, and actually also been quite a few people. I think maybe four or five before me, and he's just told me. I told him everybody yes, and he also yeah agreed to film with me. But the other guys, I think maybe he didn't get along with them. Some of them might not get the financing in place. Uh, so I ended up following him for 2.5 years. And it wasn't that easy, but he was easy to convince. But along the way, it wasn't very easy.
You followed him for 2.5 years. What kind of story did you hope that you were actually going to get out of it? And when did you want to finish this story?
Yeah, I thought it would be finished after half a year maybe. And my dream was that we have this poor artist that is quite an acclaimed artist, and been showcased internationally and all, but it never made that much money of it, and has always been in financial problems. And then I thought it was going to be quite funny if he ended up making a lot of money out of two empty frames. Um, and also in the beginning, that was the idea from him and the gallerist that it should be sold on an auction at Christie's in London. But that never happened. And also along the way, the artist Jens changed his goals all the time. As at one point, he wanted to sell it for just $1 to a guy, and the next day he would put up a museum in Haiti and have a Jens Haaning museum there with that piece hanging. And I was quite confused, but yeah. So as it went along, I thought because the museum they took the art piece as a hostage because they didn't want to give it. I mean, Jens owned the piece, but they didn't want to give it back to him before they got the money back that they loaned him. Uh, and I was thinking, I need something to happen to that piece. We need to have something, an ending to this story. We can't just have they took the piece hostage, and it's still there. So I was waiting for that, and then came a court case, and then uh, yeah. Yeah, so many things happened, and it took a long time with the courts, as it does. So yeah, after 2.5 years of filming, we had an ending, and yeah, kind of happy ending that I was looking for, but not the one I hadn't thought of that one that it ended up with.
Well, you certainly had a lot of patience on this. Now,
Yeah,
with a lot of documentaries, sometimes subjects are very, how can you say, touchy about their money problems. Why was he actually
yeah,
okay for you to display or get that shown on film? Because most people would not allow you to do that.
yeah. I think you're right about that, and that was also um, attractive thing about him. I think that he was open about this, because when you make films, you want people to talk about their problems, and he sure did. I mean, I was also quite amazed, but he didn't have any problem talking about that. No. Yeah, and also talking about that he never sold any of his work, so he was never making any money. And he also, that's also a little bit of over exaggerating, because he has sold works also for the National Gallery here and other places. So but he never made that much money that he would like to, or as much money as he's using, I guess. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't tell why, but it was. I mean, in the first place, I was intrigued with the story, because you have a guy here, somebody that actually does a crime. He takes some or keep people's money, and he admits it. Uh, your usual criminals, they won't say that they are criminal, but he's just arguing that it's art. But I mean, he's not saying that it's not true that he took the money. And first of all, I thought that was quite brave. But also, I think it's quite brave to be open about your financial problems.
You yourself, you think he's much more of a prankster than an artist in the end?
No, I think he's an artist, all right. Yeah. Um, and I mean, for me, the greatest artists are the people that make gets us talking about their work. And there's a lot of people making art that is not starting any conversations, or uh, yeah, giving your brain some food for thoughts. So I don't think he's a prankster. I mean, what he did was uh, a bit out of the normal, but all his works is quite, I think, is quite funny, uh, and I also like that in my films. I don't know how much it comes through in this film, but I like to have humor in my films, and I think he in his art has a lot of humor. I mean, the pieces he made before this has been quite humorous.
So true, so true. Now, you also portrayed him on the much more personal side, not only going back on his history a little bit, but you also went into a little bit of his mental illness with his
Yeah.
bipolar. Tell us about why you wanted to showcase that for him.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I didn't know beforehand, before meeting him, that he had this bipolar disorder. But being together with him for just a few minutes, you can feel that there's something different about him. But I didn't know what was. But very early on, we talked about it, and he told me that he has also been in the hospital because of this, in the closed departments and so. So it's very serious. And in the beginning, I was like, I was more setting out to make a fun movie about a man doing something really crazy that all of us are dreaming about, taking the money and running away. And I wasn't planning to make a film about a guy that had severe mental health problems. So in the beginning, I was thinking, can I make the film without getting too much into that? But after a couple of weeks or months, it was clear to me that I need to focus on this quite a lot because it impacts his life so much. Uh, because when you're bipolar, I learned that when you are in your manic state, you make not the wisest of decisions. I needed to put it in there, and he was open about that too. I know, and I think it's been very hard for him to see it in the film on the screen uh, because some of the manic episodes that is in the film uh, um, has been hard for him to see because he doesn't experience it that way. But now, when he's in another mental state and seeing it from outside, it's quite hard on him. Yeah,
Yeah, I was.
but but it, but still, I think it's important also for him to be open about that aspect of his life.
No, no, it is very true because you could get that sense when he talks to people on the phone. Sometimes he's demanding and then apologetic, but then I was also thinking of what kind of person who just wants to buy a post office and re really wanted it.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean that's one of the things, right? That he gets into buying a post office. I mean, yeah. And if you don't have any money, don't go around buying houses. That's just an idea. Yeah.
Now you filled in some of the gaps in the film with animation sequences. Can you talk about that decision and how you pulled that off?
Yeah. I mean, because he's such a wild character and we have this mental health issue that we need to touch upon, I was thinking, okay, maybe animation is the way to go here. Um, so that was one thing. The other thing was that uh, as he is such a wild person and nothing stops him, we were also thinking when we made the film that we will start out by doing whatever we feel like. Put in stock footage, put in animation, put in news in the middle of a scene, uh, and use the sound in a very dramatic way. And then we can take out if it's ruining the story, we can take things out. But we wanted to make it wild and crazy, just like him. And then I thought I never tried having animations in any of my films, so let's try it. Uh, Actually, I would have loved to have even more, but yeah, but it's very costly and time consuming. So we just have a little bit, but I think it works fine. It was for me, it's because I don't have a language for it. It was kind of difficult. How do you how do you communicate with the animation people? But I think it worked out fine. The idea in the beginning was more of getting into his mind through the animation. Uh, and I let the audience decide if we succeeded. But it was interesting working with it. But it's also, yeah, I mean, filmmaking itself is a slow and a long process. But when you bring animation into it, it's even slower. So you gotta have some patience there too.
That is true. That is true. So what is he like when the cameras are off?
He's very much the same as when the cameras are on, I guess. But also it depends also a lot of where he is with the bipolar thing. So sometimes he's mostly talking and talking about himself if he's in a more manic state, and that is of course, but for me that's fine. But some people might find it tiring. Uh, but I don't think he changes much while the camera is on. I think more when he went into did like news segments in television or radio. He decided, I have a message. I wanna be this way. I wanna be a little more aggressive than I normally are. But yeah, but I think it's interesting question. But yeah, I didn't find that he kind of put on another face but actually, I mean, there's a lot of people think, yeah, that I have been quite patient with him, but I mean, I enjoyed the ride. It's been very interesting to follow his life. So yeah, so it hasn't been so hard that way, no.
Well, most excellent. And you said he saw your film. So
Mhm.
what did he think of it? Did he tell you?
Yeah. Yeah, he did. I mean, he saw first cut, and then he saw it, I think, 4 or 5 times after that. And I never showed my films that many times to a participant or contributor before. But it was, yeah, as maybe said earlier, that he was quite shocked seeing some of the scenes. So first time he saw it, he was just like blown away, I think, and had to think a little bit. And then he called me and wanted to watch it again, and he did. And he also watched it with his girlfriend and a friend afterwards because he couldn't. He didn't know what to think about it or how to judge the film. So he had to bring some people that he could rely on. And I remember that when I stopped the film, and his girlfriend was also there for that screening, and she said immediately, "Well, I can recognize you, Jens." Uh, then I was very happy because you don't want to make a film where the people around them don't recognize them. So that was a big thing, big compliment, I think. Yeah, but I think it's also when people ask him about how do you feel being on the big screen in this film, it's very personal. He says, yeah, but it's also very hard for Ole, me, because I really don't like to be filmed or see pictures of myself. So just the thing of seeing myself, I think I look awful and think I look stupid and everything. So that's what he's usually would say to people. But I think I hope he is getting more and more happy with the film. But as it is very personal and he goes through a lot of struggles, it's also, of course, also hard to see for himself.
As audiences have a chance to watch your film, especially here at Tribeca, what is the one most important take you hope they walk away with?
I think it would go back to the very beginning when I was heard about the story and was fascinated. I mean, for me, it was kind of an escape from everyday life. A man doing what we all are dreaming about doing. Uh, so, and we can't all do this, but we can fantasize about it. And I think if you go from the cinema or wherever you watch the film and think, okay, the world is fantastic. You can you can sometimes just say, I don't care about the rules. I do it what I think is right. Then yeah, that would make me happy. I think, I mean, he's not playing after the rules, and maybe we shouldn't do that all the time. I mean, society will break down if we don't follow any rules, but sometimes you also have to be a little bit critical about the rules.
So true. So what's up next with you after showcasing this film? Do you have another film lined up?
Yeah, I'm working on a film with a 96-year-old lady here in Denmark. And we, or during World War II, Denmark wasn't a part of the war, but we were occupied by the Germans. And we're a small country of, at that time, 5 million people, and 50,000 girls at that time were intimate with the German soldiers, and it was a big taboo, and they were uh, yeah, punished for that afterwards. People cut their hair and when the Germans lost the war, and so nobody really in Denmark have told the story about this. So I have this. Maybe she's one. Maybe it's the last or the one of the last ones that were dating the German soldiers, and we're trying to tell her story through audio, and then because she's too afraid to come out with her face, but we have a 15 hours of interview that I'll put into a film, and then trying to figure out what to do with the video side of the film. Yeah, so that's the thing I'm working on right now, and some other stuff. Yeah.
Most excellent. Well, let me end it with one last question, and I'm going to throw this question to you because you asked this question throughout the entire movie about his art piece, "Take the Money and Run." Do you think it was art?
Yeah, I think it's art. Yeah, definitely. Just that it gets us all talking, that I think then it qualifies to be art. And the museum put it up on the wall, so that should also make it art.
That is true. You know what? I think it's art too because I think it's
Okay,
genius. So,
great.
thank you very much for speaking to us about your new documentary, "Take the Money and Run." This is insightful, and it takes a look deeper behind with the artist. And enjoy Tribeca, most
Thank you
definitely.
so much. Thank you for having me.